With about 3.5 months to go left in the 2024-25 Premier League season, there's a lot of ground to cover at the top of the table. I'm your host, Bryan Portney, joined by Massimo, Buonagurio, and Josh Armour. Liverpool is currently 6 points clear at the top of the table. Arsenal is sitting in second place, sitting 3 points clear of third place Nottingham Forest. So Massimo, I'll go to you first. How do you think the title race and top four race will shake up in the final months of the season?
Well, obviously the title race is always unbelievable to see, but I think in terms of that top four, I have two locks right now. And as we can see Salah of Liverpool and Odegaard of Arsenal. Those are my two locks, Liverpool and Arsenal. Obviously, Liverpool has been outstanding this year. Obviously, Arne Slot coming in. Who did we know if he was going to fill the shoes of Jurgen Klopp? I can't really say that. It's still only his first year. But, I mean, if this is how they're playing, it's going to be heaven in Anfield over the next few years. And they have been so good. Like I said, top of the Premier League, top of Champions League. They've been killing it. I mean, Salah's been unreal. I mean, the entire team has been unreal. I mean, if they can continue to improve and, they've been playing so well, if they continue to play how they've been playing, I could see them easily getting in that top four. And another lock that I have is Arsenal. Arteta has been coaching this team so well over the last few years. Obviously, when he started, it was kind of a little bit questionable, just like he was, low, bottom half of the table, didn't know how he's going to shape out. And, look at him now. He's got Arsenal second in the Prem, only a couple points behind Liverpool. They've been outstanding. They had some injured players. They had, Odegaard was injured at some point. Havertz was injured. They have him back now. They just had a big win over Man City. Obviously, Man City's been struggling over, this season so far, but 5-1, huge. Holland, last time they played, he had this quote telling them to stay humble, and now they just won 5-1, and Miles Lewis-Skelly hit him with his own celly, and, cold, and, they've been cold, they've been locked in, they've been doing all the great things, and I got to go to who I think is going to squeeze in there, not maybe third, maybe third or fourth, but I think Nottingham Forest, they've been unreal this year. I mean, they were just a couple points last year outside of the relegation zone. Look, and Nuno has taken them all the way into the Champions League spot. They've been unreal this year. And the fourth spot, it's a little bit tough. There's 4 through 7, just split by 3 points. It's going to be tough, but I think Man City gets in. I think Man City is going to be that team that, they're going to, lock in. They're going to win those games down the stretch, and I think they get that fourth. So in no particular order, I think it's going to be Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, and Man City.
Well, that's pretty accurate so far. Those are the 4 standout teams of this season. Man City, like you said, they were struggling a lot at the beginning of the season, but a couple of players have come in recently this window, made significant investment, about like £200 million this window alone, which is quite insane, if I had to say. But I'd have them placing in fourth. I think Nottingham Forest, 6 points ahead of the chasing pack, including Man City right below them. I think that's just the way Forest have been playing. That's just too big of a gap because they've proven they can hang with the big dogs. They beat Liverpool. They tied them at home. They beat Liverpool away. They tied them at home. And, they just came off of a 7-0 win against a really informed Brighton team that's also challenging for the top 4. That's very impressive for a team that was sitting in 17th early last season. But more on them later. In second place, I have to go with Arsenal. They are just their squad isn't good enough to keep up with Liverpool, quite frankly. Bukayo Saka is their best player. He's been injured for about 2 months, and it's really hurt them. Liverpool went through a rough patch. If you consider 3 draws a rough patch, really, which you really shouldn't. That's how good they are. But and they failed to capitalize on those opportunities. Sure, they came out with that statement win, like you were saying, but Man City aren't in the greatest form, and I just don't see them being able to hunt down Liverpool, who have the title-winning experience in players like Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, Trent, all those players, world-class players. And sure, Arsenal has world-class players as well, but they're just too young, and their time hasn't come yet. And that leaves us to the first place, the title winners. And I hate to say this, but it's been over for a long time. Really, since Christmas, the Premier League's been decided. There's been no other team quite like Liverpool. They've beaten everyone, really, except Forest. But, that's the one exception. They've beaten Madrid in the Champions League, Leverkusen. They beat Man City already. Arsenal couldn't beat them at home. There's no one else more qualified and more qualified to win this title than Liverpool.
Yeah, and I think Nottingham Forest has really been quite the story. I don't think really anybody forecast them going from a few points clear of relegation last season to Luton Town to being in the Champions League conversation. And I remember at the start of the season, like Brighton being right up there, close to the top of the table, and nobody was really much talking about it. But moving on now, who has improved most from the 2023-24 season?
I mean, I was talking about the Nottingham Forest. Just what a job they've done this season. Last season, as I mentioned earlier, they were, struggling 6 points above the relegation zone in 17th place. And now this year, they're third, still technically in the title race. That's kind of unheard of. I won't say it wasn't coming, though, because since they were promoted in 2022, they spent about $400 million in their squad, which is a significant investment. But no one quite expected them to achieve this high. It's insane. Chris Wood up top has been their talisman this season. 17 goals in 22 matches. I mean, that's his career high in the top flight. He's just been amazing this season. He's supported by a great cast: Anthony Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White, all those people in the midfield playing great counterattacking system that Nuno Espirito Santo has implemented in that team since coming in at the end around Christmas last year. But what really does it for them is their rock-solid defense. Murillo, Milenkovic, and Lascelles in goal. I mean, they're third joint lowest in conceding goals this season. They have one of the best defenses in the league. And like I said earlier, they had a 5-0 loss to Bournemouth last week and then came back, won 7-0 against Brighton. I mean, that's incredible. And they proved they could keep up with the big dogs. And they're by far my most improved team this season.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest has been unreal. I mean, but like you said, 5-0 against Bournemouth. That's my team, who's been very surprising. I mean, we go back over the years since they've been in the Premier League, 2022-2023 season. They were 15th, couple points above that relegation zone, not where they want to be. The following season, last season, they were up in 12th, still bottom half team, but much better. This year, they're all the way up in 7th, which is a major improvement. I mean, they're only a couple spots out of that, European, Europa League, Champions League spot. Champions League is a little bit of a stretch, especially, maybe they'll be possibly almost in a European spot this year, but they'll get into that Champions League spot. But I think what I'm going off of at Bournemouth is just their significant wins. I mean, if you want to call them the big six, Man United, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool. I mean, besides Liverpool, where they've lost to them twice, they've either beaten or gotten points off of every single top Big Six team, which has been a major improvement for them. I love, the way they're playing, and they've just been so good this entire season, and they've surprised me so much.
Yeah, and speaking of the Big Six, I mean, we've got Manchester United after coming off of firing their manager, Erik ten Hag, and now, with Ruben Amorim. They certainly have been a disappointment this season, but I want to get your guys' takes on what you think has been which team has been the biggest disappointment of the season.
Well, my mom does watch these shows, and I'm sorry, Mom, but I know she loves Tottenham, but they've been such a disappointment. I mean, especially they are 14th. They have not been good this season, and they're so low in the table. I mean, and especially with their schedule late in the season, they've got to play so many great teams. They got to play both surprising teams that we said. They got to play Aston Villa. So they've just been not good. Postecoglou has not had his best year. So I think Tottenham, they've been definitely disappointing to me. And yeah, they've just haven't been good.
Well, for me, not to kick a club when it's down, but it's got to be Manchester United. I mean, they've disappointed fans pretty much every season after Sir Alex Ferguson left. But I mean, this year has been particularly bad. You can call them a record-breaking team, but it's records that no one really wants to break. They've lost 7 out of their first 13 home matches this season, which they haven't done since 1894. That is a 130-year-old record. I mean, that is terrible.
That's really bad.
Not to mention they're on course to finish in their lowest Premier League spot ever, breaking their record of last season, finishing 8th. Right now they're in 13th. Really, their ceiling's probably 11, realistically. And, it's really summed up by their woeful attack. I mean, they have those 3 youngsters, Manu, Diallo, and Garnacho, but they're just not putting out enough.
I mean, they're thinking of transferring all of them, so who knows what will happen in the future.
They really just need to blow up the squad, but
Yeah, well, hopefully they will clean house and soon be near the Champions League race. But it'll surely be interesting to see how the Premier League 2024-25 season progresses as it reaches its final months. That's all the time we have for tonight. Alongside Josh Armour and Massimo Buonagurio, I'm Bryan Portney. Thank you for watching.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
We are
Penn State Sports Night.